Welcome to the first episode of Power and Apps for Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. Live from Tip City, I'm Vivek Parishi. So before we get started, just a quick kind of overview on why we are doing this Power and Apps live sessions. So we're really just trying to talk about some current updates from PowerApps and Flow, try to make something from scratch, and maybe do some demos and reviews of all the apps that we have on the gallery, the PowerApps Bank, and all that stuff. So that's the intent of this show, and let's get started. All right. So in today's episode, we'll first talk about some recent updates from the PowerApps and Flow blog. We'll then do a demo of sending a contact card VCF file from Flow. And also there's a bonus section, so hang on and you'll get to know more. Let's start with a few PowerApps updates. All right. Let me share my screen here. Okay. So the PowerApps team rolled out a brand new sharing experience for Canvas apps on November 12th. And not only is this a lot more responsive, but it also meets higher accessibility grade, and it brings in several new features that are quite exciting. So we'll try to go through those features over here. So the first thing is the UI has changed a bit. That's what I could kind of first see. You can see now the images of the users, and also it's easier to kind of see the data sources that are being shared. So it doesn't show you if the user has access, but it does show you what the data sources are that are being used in the app, and you can click directly from here and go to the SharePoint list and then give access to the user. So this is pretty nifty. I mean, especially in cases where you don't know if the user has data permissions, and you probably want to give them the permissions. You can look over here. The other thing, the data permissions on the CDS side. So if you have been using Common Data Service, it also shows you the entities that are being shared, that are being used in the app. So you need to make sure you're giving permissions to the user for those entities. The next thing is you don't need to configure each user at separately. You can select multiple users and then give the permissions accordingly to either be a co-owner or be just a user. And the other thing which they added is instead of having a checkbox where you can click everyone in org and just share the app with them, they made it a bit difficult, which apparently is easier. I don't know if I agree to that, but so now you need to go and type in everyone or whatever you named the everyone kind of group in your organization, and select the group and then share it with them. So that's about the new sharing experience, and I have not used it that much so far, but whatever I've used it, I mean, it's good to kind of see the users in this format. That's one of the big plus, I would say. And also for CDS, I think seeing the entities is really beneficial. Okay. So the next thing is the display names have entered the preview mode in Canvas app. So display names, when I refer to that, it means the column names. So if you have been using SharePoint list or CDS, you might be aware of having these issues with the column names. It starts for CDS, it starts with some CR something, and then the name. And for SharePoint list, it's if you have a space or if you have a special character, it converts that, and you need to kind of use this instead of the display name of the column. So what you need to do is you need to go into your settings, and I can show that quickly where if you go to the app settings, advanced settings, and there should be an experimental feature, use column display names. It's on by default. That's what I saw in my app. So that's, I don't know if that's good or not, but you can easily use it. So yeah, you can, so once you turn it on, as you can see, um, instead of this, where you have the column names as defined by like these, the CR or the T underscore something something. Instead of that, you'll have the display names being used. So in this case, the account name, the address 1, street 1, it's using the display name instead of the app, instead of this. So, and also it shows up in the intelligence in the formula bar as well. So it's easy for you. So in this case, it's hard for you to find some column name that you want to use, but when you have display names, you can easily search for it, and then it will pop up that column name, and you can select it. It automatically changes for the languages, I guess, over here. Yeah. So yeah, this is a good feature because yeah, it's really cumbersome when you have to kind of type in these underscores and stuff, and it makes the task much more complicated. But yeah, using this, it would be really good to use display names for the columns. At this point, before I move on, let me just quickly check if there are any questions or comments. And let me see if people are there on the other feed. Quickly over here so that I can move them over to the other link. Okay, I don't see anyone over there, so that's good. Okay, not this. Let's go to the Flow news now. So yeah, from Flow, if you haven't registered for the online Flow conference yet, please go ahead, do that. It's free to register. It's on December 12th, 20 days from now, as you can see over here. And we have a good lineup of speakers in there. Shane Young is presenting, Laura Rogers, Melissa, John, all great sessions. It's a whole day of Flow sessions. So if you haven't registered yet, please go ahead and do that. The link to this will be put up in the show notes. I'll be putting that the show notes link in the YouTube channel, YouTube video later on after the video ends. A new flow checker has been, so this is a new tool. So the new flow check, there are new flow checker, and then there are some new connectors. The new flow checker feature will promote higher quality flows by ensuring you follow best practices. By running the checker, you'll be able to get answers to questions like which areas of your flow implementation pose a performance or reliability risk. So when I went through this, let me just give me a second here. So yeah, when I looked at this, from my understanding, and I saw this comment as well. So when you click on the save option, when you try to save a flow, if there is an error, you will see it won't let you save it. It will make you kind of correct the errors. But yeah, for the warnings, if there are any, this is a good feature. If you haven't used it on PowerApps, yet. It's something similar. There's a Power Apps checker, if I'm not wrong. Let's see over here. Yeah, so it's an app checker. That's what they call it over here. So in Flow's case, it's called the Flow checker. So you can see the errors and any warnings that you have, and it's a pretty good feature to kind of analyze what errors you have in the flow. I've not yet seen any warnings in my flow, so I'll probably need to kind of play around with that to see what kind of warnings can I get. If you know about this, please let me know in the comments section if you have already used it, and if you got any warnings, and let me know. Okay. So if you want to get these updates from your Amazon or Echo device or something, you can enable. I have built two skills, Alexa skills, the Microsoft Power Apps News and Microsoft Flow News. The link to both of these will be added in the show notes as well. And if you have an Echo Dot, or even on your phone, if you want to set this up, you can just enable these skills and listen to the updates from Power Apps and Flow blog from your Alexa device. All right, the next section, let's move on to some demos. So as I told you, we'll be doing a contact card. We'll be sending a contact card as a VCF file using Flow. And I'll also connect it with Power Apps and show you how to do that. But the advantage over here is, so when you're using, or let's say when you want to send a contact card you want to send your contact details to a customer or anyone, you probably are sending it like in an email format where you type in your name, your email, you probably use a signature, you just send that. But it doesn't allow the user to save the contact details easily. He probably needs to create a contact in the phone and enter all the details and then save it. So what I'm going to show you is you can basically send a VCF file, which in an email that the user can just download it and save it directly on their phone. So I'll first give a quick demo, and we'll then build the app from scratch, or build the flow from scratch. So this is the flow. Let me quickly go through it over here. I have the Power Apps trigger. I'm creating a file, the VCF file over here. I'm saving it in my Google Drive. You can do it on OneDrive as well. And then I'm getting the file content, and I'm sending it in an email. We'll build it from scratch, so don't worry. We'll go through it in details. So let's test this thing. All right, using the I perform the trigger action test. So in this case, because I created one variable over here, that's the file name. I'm just gonna say demo contact card, and we run the flow. Okay, so it's creating. It's created the file and it sent an email. Now, first let me show you the file over here. So you see it just populated now. So that's the demo contact file that I got, and I'm also going to show you how it looks in my phone over here. Let's see. So yeah, okay. Got disconnected, but yep, there we go. So this is my email that I got. So I'm going to click on the demo contact.vcf. So yeah, you can see this is a Forrest Gump example. I took it from Wikipedia. So it saved all the details, the work address, the phone number, the location, everything, and I can just hit on this, um, copy the contacts, and save. There you go. I have it in my contacts now. And this is on iOS, but it would work the same way on Android as well. So this way you can easily kind of send contact details and save it on the phone. You make it easier for the recipient to save the details quickly. So let's go ahead and make this flow from scratch. Okay. So if you haven't used this already, you can start with the template of PowerApps as the trigger. There's a template in the template section, and then you can just bookmark it and start your flow from PowerApps. So save me a few seconds over there. So let's start with we first need to create a file. So I'm gonna do this on Google Drive. You can do this on OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, whichever you want to use. We'll say create file. You need to specify the path over here. Use Google Drive. Oops, Google Drive. In this case, let's just let's. Oops. Okay. I was probably going to use it for my user group meeting, but let's just go with Google Drive for now. Okay. Name of the file. So what we'll do is we'll ask the name. Or for now, we'll just leave this. Yeah, we'll ask the name in PowerApps. So this will be the name of the person if you want to use. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to create the file name as .vcf. So just end it with .vcf. You could either do this in PowerApp side or on the flow, whichever is convenient, but I mean, it doesn't make a difference. Now the file content. So the format that you want to use to create a vCard, go to the Wikipedia page, just search for vCard, wiki, and you'll get this. And there's a format for each of the versions of vCard. So I'm using the vCard 3.0. What you can do is you can just copy this thing. There's a flow, yep, and paste it over here. So it copies. So you can see, so the N stands for the full the name. So it starts with the last name, then the first name, and the salutation if you want to use anything. This is the full name that you want to use, the organization name, the title. If there is, I mean, if you want to assign a photo as well, that's also possible. I've not played around with that, but all these fields are not required. You can just use the name, full name, and address or phone number, whichever you want to use. Just delete the ones which you don't want. So the telephone, the work or home, you can basically take all these inputs from PowerApps and send it, or you can just use it as a flow. Just define your contact card details in this over here, and keep the flow button nifty on your phone. And whenever somebody asks you, just keep the email ID of the person as an input, and you can send it. So there are different ways to do it. The next thing, what we want to do is we want to get the file content so that we can send it. When it creates the file, somehow it doesn't get, I mean, it doesn't have the file content accessible. It doesn't, that's not an output. The output is just creating a file in Drive. It's not, and the output is not accessible. So what you want to do is you want to get the file content using ID. And I'll show you why I'm using the ID. So what it does is when I click here, the create file option, or the create file thing that we did over here, it shows me all the the variables that are associated with it. So the ID is also available here. So when I click on this, what it will do is when it creates the file, it creates the file ID as well, and you can access the file ID, not the file content. So you can see over here, there's no file content option, but there's all these different file locator, the last modified, the media type, the name, path, and all those things. So you can use this ID. Let me see if I used any advanced options. Okay, so now that you've got the content, what you're gonna do is you wanna send this in an email. I'll again use my Gmail connector. You can use the Outlook Office 365, but I'm just trying to keep it on Google over here. Send email. So the two is something that you want to keep as an input. So for now, I'm just going to send it to myself. The API tech and over here. Okay, subject. So all these things you could possibly take it from the create file that it did over here, or the get file content, whichever you want to use. Actually, the create file option. So I'll take the display name from there, the body attached card. Excuse me. Now you wanna do an attachment name. Use the display name again over here. It will create it will use the display name of the file. So and it will use the extension .vcf as well. So the other thing you're going to do is you're going to attach the content. So you use the get file content option and insert that file content over here, and you should be good to go from here. So let's save this. Let me save this as demo contact card VCF file. Okay. Let's save this and let's test this now. So you need to say I'll perform the triggered action because this is the first time you're running the flow. Let's see if this works. Continue. The file name. So it was Forest Gump. And we'll click on run flow. Done. Let's see if this works fine. Okay, it worked. Now let's go to my drive. And you can see over here it just created the demo contact.vcf and it just created that. I don't know if you can see it over here, but let's just download it and just to see how it looks. So yeah, the other thing, I mean, even if they are on their desktop and if they want to save the contact, this is an easier way to save the contact than anything else. I mean, even the Outlook, I mean, even if the email service that you're using that has a add to contact option, it will just add the name and email. It won't add the other details. So this is a pretty good way to save the contacts, and then you can sync this with whatever you're using on your phone as well. So that's how you kind of create this flow. I'll just show you quickly how to kind of connect these things with Power Apps, and maybe I'll see if we have any questions so that we can cover those. So let me first see if we have any questions on this so far. Okay, no questions. Well, I guess everybody understood everything. So this is I created this template over here as a contact card demo, you can add these different input text boxes, and then basically create a submit button, and then click on the flows.
I'm here.
Yep, see, you are here, but I don't want to listen to you now. And then we click, this is the flow that we just created, demo contact card VCF file. And it's adding it right now. So in this case, it will just ask me the create file name. So I'll just say the first name and last name. Okay. So, I mean, in this case, it's just going to take these two things and create the contact card accordingly. But yeah, you'll have to change some things on the flow side so that these get reflected. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but you get the idea over here how to kind of connect it with Power Apps. So you could almost build a directory of your like the org directory that your Power Apps has a template for, and then have an option to send contact cards for each of the contact. So you can automatically generate, you don't need to even take the inputs for each of the contact card. You can use the Office 365 connector and get all the details, and just have a button over here to just send the contact card to the email ID that the user can specify, and that will just send the contact card. So that's on the contact card demo. And now we do have we do have a good amount of time left, and we can. So this section, I'm calling it as a superpower app, because we're going to take some apps from the community and try to just kind of showcase those, review them, the great things that they're doing, and learn from them how we can improve our apps. So for this week, I chose my friend, if I pronounce his name correctly, Hiroaki Nagao's app from the app gallery on the Power Users community. This app basically simulates throwing a ball. So let me open it over here. So this app simulates throwing a ball, and also it kind of simulates the effects of air resistance, gravity, the bounce, reflection, all of this in just one power-packed app. So I mean, the physics and the equations that he has used over here, it's just amazing. So let's quickly have a demo of that. Okay, ask me to authenticate. Okay, good. So let's do a quick play of this for here. I can set I mean, the way he has built this app is really great. You can kind of set the initial velocity, you can set the shoot angle, and then click on set, and then click on shoot, and you can see it kind of, the ball is bouncing off of the floor, it's reflecting off of the wall over here, and I mean it's just great. And now it's just gone back over here. So if you want to refresh it, we'll just click on refresh. I'll change the angle over here a bit, I guess. Okay, and let me increase the velocity, and let's see what happens now. Set, shoot, and there you see it goes all the way over up. So pretty cool app. So the basic thing what he's using over here is kind of creating a grid, kind of using the X and Y coordinates of the ball over here, which apparently is not visible anymore. Let's reset it. Yep. Okay. So what he has done over here is the X and Y coordinates are basically the formulas that he has used In his app, he has also put an equation that he has used. So these are the equations that he's using to kind of determine the x and y for the ball. And as in any other animation apps, you definitely need to use the timer. So he has used the timer control. And let's see the timer. What he has done over here is so for the timer on the timer end, so the timer keeps looping every 30 milliseconds. So when you click on this button shoot over here, that's what triggers the timer. And then on the timer end, he has used this whole set of rules. So he's done a great job in kind of commenting as well what he is doing with each of these sections. So this kind of defines how reflection would work. So reflection from the wall, the formula has to change. So I'm not going to dig deeper, but from my understanding, what he's doing is changing the sign. So instead of the x going positive, it goes kind of the other way around when it reflects. And in case of the bounce, the y changes because instead of the ball going in this kind of motion, it has to bounce back. So the y kind of changes its signs. And as you can see, the Vy0 over here is negative, and in this case, Vx0 becomes negative. And those are the variables that he's using to determine the x and y of the ball. So might look a bit complicated, but I guess if you know the equations and if you kind of have some background, or I guess you don't even need a background, you just can use these equations out of a paper or something out of the internet and create something like this. So the idea for his app was he's trying to gamify physics using PowerApps. That's a really good concept to kind of gamify things and make it easier for the students to understand. And you could possibly use this even in your business case, business scenarios where you want to gamify some things to make it easier to understand. So there's a blog post as well he has written on this. I just went on this link. So he has tried to define for each of the things how he has used the formulas and everything. It's a pretty detailed blog. If you want to give a read, the link to this will also be put in the show notes, so you can refer to it. So yeah, gamifying physics using PowerApps is his way of doing PowerApps. What do you want to gamify? Let me know in the comments and gamify things. All right. What else? I guess I have covered everything that I wanted to cover in this episode, and we'll be doing similar sessions every week, and the concept is just to keep you guys updated on PowerApps and Flow, and have some demos and some review of PowerApps and any other Q&A that you have, which we could discuss. So before signing off, let me see if there are any questions. Okay. There aren't any. We'll be live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. The next week I'll be doing it at 6 p.m. Eastern. But to find out more, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can also follow me on Twitter at that_API_guy. Next week we'll have Geeta Sivasalam, if I'm pronouncing that correct. She'll be joining us for the next session and show some of her cool stuff that she's been playing around with PowerApps. We'll see you next week.